welcome to another episode of Down to the Dock with Channel Surfing. We're down here today to go over our dinghy. So on the Ranger Tug, they make a dinghy rack. It's like the superstructure that runs up over the motor. It was brand new when it came out. We opted not to get it, not knowing how we would use a dinghy. So we bought a dinghy because we need one to get the dogs to and from shore, and we went with an inflatable dinghy, and we wanted to go over how we actually would inflate it. We need to be at the dock so the camera can be on dock to watch us do it, but we're going to do it like we were at sea in the cockpit, so you guys can see the compromise you make with an inflatable dinghy. So all said and done, the dinghy is stored in the cockpit, and we pull it out, unroll it, inflate it, and then throw it overboard, and then we carry it using the ski pole usually, or vertical on the transom. So let's see if we can start it here. This is the dinghy all folded up. All together it weighs about 60 pounds, so it's not super light, but not super heavy either. So we manufactured this just out of some PVC piping, just to store the dinghy. It works really well.
It's still amazing that it actually fits in that little case. Usually when you get something and it has a case, it never goes back in. Another thing you can do is before you leave, you can fill it up on the dock here and then put it in your boat ready to go. We're just showing you that it's possible to do it out there in the water.
Electric pump. There's an inverter on board. Turn the inverter on, plug it in for AC power.
Typically, we have this filled up before we take off, but it is possible to do it. I'd say you could easily have it done and in the water within 5-10 minutes.
So that's the basics to get it filled up on shape. So the dinghy's got 3 spots to inflate for the outside hull, 3 different compartments. One port, one starboard, the bow. It's got an inflatable floor that also has to get inflated, and it has the last one for the inflatable keel underneath. It's got the special attachment right here.
So you can see
inside
that
for each of the valves, there's a little push button, metal push button, and it turns and locks to fill it. So this is so that you can actually get it probably up to 3-4 pounds of pressure. By pushing this in, and then you twist it, and that hits the lock on the valve to pop it back out as soon as you pull it away. So dinghy's now overboard. For propulsion, obviously it's got oars. We wanted an outboard to go with it. We looked a lot at different outboards. We settled on a Yamaha 2.5 horse. This guy right here. We picked him because he's got gas. He's got a 1/2 gallon gas tank that comes inside it's all integrated. Oil's all integrated. You can store the motor laying down on 3 of the 4 sides without any gas or oil or anything leaking out. And it's 37 pounds. So it's easy to lift on and lift off. That's all there is to it. There's a seat that goes right here. The oars that'll go right here in a row. The outboard will be in primarily. So to store it, I gotta bring the outboard back in. Inflating it, then it gets overboard. Once we have it overboard, then we'll either carry it inside the cockpit if we're going at high speed between places. If we're going low speed, we just drag it behind us. That way it's out of the cockpit. Let's bring it on board and do this.
Takes teamwork to make the dream work.
So sometimes we'll just leave it right here, especially the shrimp season and the cockpit's full of shrimp pots.
It doesn't go anywhere.
Right,
It's
and it
pretty
won't
solid.
go anywhere. It'll just hang right here in the
It
vertical.
actually just fits in the doorway of the transom.
But other times, we'll do this.
Okay.
And at this point, we can go 26 knots cruising. Dinghy's not going to go anywhere. And once we get there, then we just throw it back overboard. And I'll show you how we launch it. That's it.
Very quick.
Very quick and easy. So the Dinghy, it's an inflatable sport boats. This is the one we bought. It's the Dolphin, as they refer to it. It's the 8.9, I think it is. Stand aside. 8 foot 8 inches is the size of it. It'll hold, I think, about 1,000 pounds. I was sizing it for basically 3 adults and 3 dogs, just to get to shore. To walk the dogs is our main reason for the Dinghy. To deflate it, I highly recommend an electric pump. It does come with a foot pump, but to get it back in here, you really got to suck the air back out of it to get to fit back into the factory sizes so it fits in the cockpit easily.
And to do that quickly, the attachment and the electric pump actually sucks it out so you can fit it back in there perfectly.
You know this floor, it's an air floor and I'm standing on it. The floor actually gets bumped up to like 8 or 9 pounds. It's really stiff. They make it with aluminum floor, And I thought about that for the dogs, but the air floor is what they had in stock. The aluminum floor you can add afterwards. And I don't think we need the aluminum floor. The air floor actually works just great.
Now, and that dinghy has a keel on the bottom, right?
Yes. There is an inflatable keel on the bottom that helps for tracking. Now we're going to go and deflate it and fold it back up.
Okay, air's out. Now to fold it up and put it back in the bag.
Back in the box, wherever she came out of. The seat. These are the oars that go with it, snap together.
Yeah, they're full-size oars.
This away. thing to talk about would be the alternative is the built-in dinghy lift that Ranger Tug's created for the outboard. It's an actual superstructure that sits back here, comes up over like a roll bar that comes up over the engine. Pros and cons, what I would say between the two options is the inflatable. You can see the work it takes to get it out, put it back in. Obviously we're not big dinghy people, we use it because we have to get dogs to and from shore kind of thing. But if you have the dinghy lift, it makes it easier to deploy, easier to retrieve without a doubt.
But it's always there.
It's always there. It'll obscure your view from the stern. Maybe that's a big deal, maybe it's not. If you want to check the oil in the engine, you have to deploy the dinghy to check the oil in the engine. There'd be a con to it. Another pro that the lift would have is you could get a heavier dinghy that's a rigid bottom instead of the inflatables. The inflatables obviously are prone to barnacles and sharp rocks and leaks. So we got to be really careful when we go up on shore with where we're actually bringing the dinghy up to. And that concludes this episode of Down at the Dock. Hope you enjoyed our video. Thanks for watching. Remember to click the like and subscribe button.
And the bell for notifications so you can see all the upcoming videos that we're working on doing. Until then,
stay tuned for more channel surfing.
See you next time.